Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Wow.
Oh, this
That's
is fancy.
nice.
I like this. God, that
Fancy.
is smooth.
Yeah, so you need to tell us where we got this
All
from.
right. So, I have been very, very close friends with my host family when I first moved to Japan. Oh God, almost 20 years
It
ago.
was like when was that? 2000?
I think the first time I went was 2004,
Wow, okay. Wow.
maybe 2005. But
Okay.
it's basically, like, God damn, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, right? Can you imagine that?
Man, I'm old now.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I've maintained relations with
Yeah.
my host family even to the present day. Unfortunately, my host father passed away
Yeah.
last year.
Mm-hmm.
So my host mom, Akemi-san, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for the sake.
It's really great.
Yeah, this is really good. So she sent this because she got it last year and was planning on drinking it to honor him, but
Yeah.
decided to send it here today
Yeah.
so we could drink it on the channel.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. This
Yeah.
is I can just tell the moment I opened it, the kari ga sugokute.
Yeah.
It was just really great.
Yeah, I think this is probably the strongest aroma that I've experienced from sake.
Yeah.
Like you usually don't get, usually you'll get kind of like an alcohol smell, but this one's like a very like sweet smell.
Yeah, this is Dassai 23. So it says Junmai Daiginjo Migaki Niwari Sanbun. Cool. So this is great.
Yeah. So we're gonna drink it all.
Yeah,
I
we
promise.
We'll drink. Well, this is like what we normally drink
Yeah, this is
over
like
a
a
single
bottle,
video.
right?
So
Yeah.
Cool. So what are we talking about today?
Well, we are gonna talk about what it's like to be married to foreigners.
To foreigners. Oh,
Well, what it's like for foreigners to be married to a Japanese spouse.
Right.
I guess I mixed it up a little bit.
yeah. Like a lot of people ask me, kokusai kekkon shitai na. I wanna be married to a foreigner. It's gonna be so great.
Yeah.
And thought we could talk about that today.
Yeah, I think a good place to jump in is maybe talk about maybe what marriage is like over in the States.
Yeah.
And like,
well, have you been married in the States?
I have not.
Yeah.
But I do know people who are married in the States.
Okay.
So it's like, and I mean, it's pretty, like, marriage culture is like pretty upfront.
Yeah.
In the US. So I think it's like pretty easy to understand. I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It is great.
So like one of the first things that I think we should bring up about American American marriages is kind of like role expectations.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So husband and wife
in
1950s, I think kind of resembled Japan a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Where it's like wife does everything at home, husband earns the bread.
Yeah.
So to speak,
earns
right?
the bread or brings home the bacon.
Yeah.
It's a lot of what people say.
It's a lot of food related money references. I don't know why.
And why bacon? I don't know, but
I don't know.
They ate a lot of bacon, I guess.
Anyways, nowadays it's kind of changed, right? I think more modern marriages, it's like there's not really well defined like spousal roles.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like sometimes dad can do mom's job. Like I know a lot of stay-at-home dads.
You do?
Right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Stay-at-home dads.
Yeah, like 3.
Really?
That feels like a lot.
Living in the States, right?
One of them lives in the States, 2 of them live here.
Really?
Yes.
They're doing stay-at-home dad stuff here?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It feels odd to me too. Like 3 seems like a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so like that's kind of my point that I'm bringing home, that I feel like there's a lot of fluidity between spousal roles, whereas I think in traditional Japanese marriages, I think they're a lot more rigid. Yeah. Right. It's hard to break out of those expectations and roles.
I think also one thing that's important to talk about is kind of like the type of person you marry, because Japanese people are not a monolith. You know, there's a lot of variety in there. And I know a lot of I know a lot of women who just
Whoops.
stop throwing the cap at me.
Oh man, it's so fun to throw around.
So like I know a lot of Japanese women who just didn't like what they saw as misogynistic culture here, where their role was defined, so they went to the United States.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how you see these like stereotypes from both sides. Like, I think there's a huge expectation, primarily among Japanese women, but I wouldn't really keep it solely to them. There's this huge expectation that like foreign men are like chivalrous and like, really like treat their women well, and they're a lot more romantic and stuff. And that's bullshit. I'm not romantic. A lot of cases, I'm not a romantic person. I love my wife, and I try to do everything that I can to take care of her and support her when she needs supporting and stuff. But like, I'm not a romantic person, man. Like, I'll talk with I'll talk with like my coworkers, right? There's a girl at my school who recently just got married. Okay. And she's been she's just for more reference, she's a teacher. I'm not trying to dig into my students' lives. But anyways, she just got married. She's been with her boyfriend a couple years, and she would always talk about like how romantic her boyfriend is. Yeah. She's Japanese, her boyfriend's Japanese, or her husband now. And like this guy would like set up flowers on the wall. Wow. And like when she came home, he would have like candles and like have a candlelight dinner. I've never done that for my wife. Yeah. And I'm sorry if that makes me out to be a bad person, but it's like,
you are a bad husband.
This is not who I am. I'm not a romantic guy. Yeah. Like that doesn't mean I don't care, and I don't like try to show my love like in a different way, but like it's like there's this huge expectation, I think, for foreign men to be like this like sappy like romance story guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like
a lot of girls are like, so I asked them why do you want to get married with a foreigner? They're like, oh, because they're so much nicer, so much more romantic. And to be fair, like traditionally and up until recently, the husband really started treating the wife like a mom in a lot of situations. Like, oh, she's the one who takes care of me and stuff. And I think that's changing now with the whole ikumen situation, whatever. But yeah, for a long time it was like that, But one thing that I don't know, something that hits me that's different between Japanese and like American marriages is I feel like when you get married here, you enter someone's family registry, Yeah. And whereas like in America too, you have to register your marriage, but it's like just a document between you and the other person, and it's registered. It's not a part of that whole family. Yeah.
I definitely agree, because it's like I feel like I'm in I wouldn't say strange situation, but it feels like it feels very different for me, because my wife took my last name. Yeah. And your wife took your last name too, right? But like I feel like I am more connected with her family right now. Yeah. I mean, obviously because we live closer, right? Yeah. But also like I've just been like incorporated into my wife's family.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right?
Me too.
It's like now I'm just one of the OG son.
Yeah, right.
So it's like that was a really weird sensation for me, because it's like when you look at like traditional American families, you don't have that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, good job, we're sending you off. Bye-bye, good luck.
Yeah, it's like back in the day, you had the term the nuclear family, and that doesn't come from nuclear as a nuclear bomb. It comes from nuclear as in the nucleus of a cell. Yeah, right. Right? It's like you have your compartmentalized family. And it's like, this is your barrier, mom, dad, and kids. And that's it. Yeah. Right? And you don't have connections to the outer family. Yeah. Like maybe you'll see them on holidays or something, right? But you're not seeing them every day, and you're not talking to them every day. Yeah. But like here, it's not like that. Yeah. Now both of us happen to have married people who their families aren't in Tokyo, right? And their families are actually pretty far away. So like we still see them like holidays. Yeah. But like that's not true for most families here. Most families tend to like stick around. Yeah. I feel like
I mean, this goes into like having kids now too, but I feel like for my parents, you know, on my side, when we go visit my family in Boston, right?
Yeah.
And we bring the kids around, there's really like the basic concept is that these are Arthur and Natsumi's kids. Whereas
really?
like, I feel like when we're in Niigata and we're hanging with the family, it's like, oh, these are our grandchildren. You know?
My family's not like that.
Oh, really?
No, my parents they absolutely love my daughter.
Well, no, my parents love my
sorry,
my children too.
I didn't mean to sound like that, but like I don't know. It's Yui felt like she was part of the family as soon as she got there, but I get what you're saying though.
Yeah.
I think they're, like I said, it just kind of goes with that nuclear family.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That whole idea is like you're kind of like a separate unit.
Yeah.
You know, so now the family has 2 units, whereas like in Japan, it's more like everyone's still together.
Yeah, this
you know?
is one big family.
Yeah, you know that's something that maybe it's because I lived here, and we didn't move to the United States, but I always felt like Natsumi, even though she took my last name, I wasn't so much like she was becoming a part of my family. It was more like I was becoming a part of her family.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah. So I think it might be interesting to start off with like how we met our wives.
So
do you want to share the story?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I met my wife on a dating app.
Yeah.
And I know this is where everyone watching kind of rolls their eyes and goes, "Oh, great, a dating app." First of all, stop. Right? Dating apps are perfectly normal these days.
And actually, more people meet from apps than not.
100%, man. So my parents met each other from a newspaper ad. My mom put an ad in the newspaper, and my dad responded, and that's how they met. And that is the 80s.
So they met on Craigslist, basically.
Basically, which it sounds horrible nowadays, but like, that's like the 80s dating app. Right there is just putting. Can you imagine putting your phone number in the newspaper
and then, like,
nowadays?
Random guys calling you,
dude. Oh my god! Like I would be worried for my mom's safety. If she were to do that in this day and age. But I mean, I guess it was okay back then. But yeah, so there's a number of like different dating apps in Japan. They're like Tinder and Bumble are like American apps, but they're really popular over here. But those are kind of like for hookups, and kind of casual dating.
Yeah. So you use one of the Japanese like
so there's this
and stuff.
There's this Japanese app called Pairs.
Oh, you use Pairs?
I use Pairs.
Oh, cool.
And so Pairs is already like a pretty serious app. Like the idea of it, I think I would compare it to like Match.com.
Yeah.
I think it's comparable with that, where it's like you're not going there to date people.
Yeah.
It's like I want to get married and I'm putting myself out there.
Yeah.
Right. And another thing unique to it is it's free for women, and then like men had to pay like 5,000 yen.
Yeah. So only serious men. No F boys.
So what ended up happening is like it feels like the populations kind of balance out, where like traditional free dating apps are like mostly predominantly men. Right. Anyways, so I saw Yui's profile on there. I'm like, wow, oh, she's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna message her.
Yeah.
And she responded. And we met in a Starbucks in Nakano.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We met in a Starbucks in Nakano, and I was just like, wow, yep, she's pretty hot. And we were there for like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. And I was like, you know what? We're in Nakano. Let's go to some izakaya.
Okay.
And this was at like,
did you take her on the south side? Like
we went all over.
Oh, you went all over? Okay.
Yeah. We literally went all over.
Okay.
But we met at like 2 p.m. and literally stayed out drinking and just talking and stuff and having fun until like literally last train.
Wow.
We even went to your favorite Nihonshu place over what's that place called? Oihara.
Oh yeah, you went there?
Yeah, we went there. That was the last stop.
Man.
And man, it was such a good time.
Yeah.
And I just remember like it's really funny if someone ever meets my wife, like Arthur, you can attest to it.
Yeah.
She's a very quiet person.
Yeah, she is.
She's very reserved, and it's like it can unnerve people.
Yeah. Yes, it
People
does. Yes,
yeah.
it does.
yeah. Natsumi really didn't
don't say that on camera. She's gonna kill me if you say that.
She watched the video?
Yeah, she doesn't. But if someone she knows will tell her, and then she'll kill me. So
she really liked Yui. They had a fantastic time together.
Yes.
Anyways, but yeah, so like my wife can be pretty quiet sometimes, and like for me that doesn't bother me because I know this is going to be a really weird statement to make, but I'm actually like a very quiet person.
Yeah, you are. Big time.
Like when we're talking on here, I can be like really outgoing and I can project that, but like I'm a huge introvert.
Well, it's like you kind of like save all your outgoing energy for the videos, and so then outside the video, just like, hey, what's up? Cool.
So, anyways, so it's like that's her quietness has never bothered me. In fact, it's like I don't even see it as a negative thing. But as that all goes away when Yui gets drunk.
Yeah.
Like as soon as my wife gets drunk, it's just like she turns into this party animal. Like we went to this was like a year later. We went to this tequila bar in Shibuya.
Oh yeah, you told me this story. Yeah.
And at this time, Yui had never drank tequila, and she's like, "Well, what is tequila?" I'm like, "Well, it's kind of like this Mexican alcohol. It's really good. It's my favorite alcohol." So like, and they have tacos here, so we'll go. And so like, we're looking at the menu, and I see that there's like a shot sampler, and there's like 5 shots.
Okay.
Right. And this is after we've already had like several like tequila sodas.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Or tequila tonic.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we both order the shot sampler, and like both of us are kind of drunk at this point. And like I said, there was 5. I made it through 2.5, and I was just like, I gotta tap out.
Yeah.
Like I am hammered at this point.
Yeah.
And I will never forget this. I will carry this until the day I die.
Yeah.
She turned at me and she's like, "You are so weak. I can drink this."
Yeah.
And just like slammed back these tequilas. I'm like, "What? Who are you?
Yeah.
What the hell? Like, who is this person?" So it was like it was kind of at that moment that I'm like, okay,
she's the one.
Yeah, she's the one.
I was gonna ask you, what's up with drinking tequila? Like shooting down tequila.
Yeah. I think I had already like we had already made plans to get married.
Yeah.
Prior to that, because I think this was like March or April.
Yeah.
And anyways, but I knew from that moment that I made the right decision. Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, And
then
we got married.
So you met on an app and you decided she was the one through tequila.
Yeah.
And then you got married last year in a wonderful wedding.
Yeah. Dating here, I think, is kind of this weird thing where it's just like, I would equate it to like playing poker.
Okay.
Because there's this idea of like, you don't want to show your hand. And then there's no ceremony or anything. It's like you just become a relationship. Yeah. Whereas like, I think like dating in the US, that's like all about labels. It's like, what are we? What are we? What are we? What are we? And
it's funny. I have like the opposite experience. I feel like in the United States, it's like you don't really say anything. You just realize, oh, we're dating. Maybe it's because you and Yui just hit it off right away. Yeah. That you guys were pretty much there. You didn't need to say anything, which is great. That's rare. But I know, at least in my situation before I got married, like I feel like people wanted much more strict structure. Like I remember I went to I was hanging out with some friends. This wasn't a date, but I was hanging out with some friends in Shibuya, and there was a girl there who just said, "Oh yeah, one of my coworkers just confessed his love for me, and I rejected him." Yeah. It's like that confession stuff never really happens in the States.
Okay, I will agree there. It's like they go pretty hardcore with like, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think a very unsuccessful way to approach a woman that you want to date is come up to her and just be like, "I love you." Yeah, that just turns them away right away. Unless you have like money pouring out of your pockets and a 6-pack and like a super handsome like K-pop boy face,
Yeah.
she's probably not gonna say yes to
right.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just ask her out to coffee first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. No, I get that. Yeah. So for me, you know, so this goes back to like 10 years ago now. I first met my wife 10 years ago. Yeah. That's empty, I think.
This is full.
Oh, this one? Oh, yeah. I took the wrapper off of that one. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So you have to finish this because that's a different one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. This is Dasai 39.
Dasai 39.
Yeah. So
sounds like a perfume.
Dasai 39.
Dasai 39.
Yeah. So this goes back like 10 years. Come on, man. So I met Natsumi when I was 23.
Yeah.
I met Natsumi when I was 23. And it was February of 2014. And, you know, I come to Japan. I've been in Japan for about 5 months now. And I was getting situated in my life, started my business. And I was going to Aoyama Gakuin University. And we had the finals for the winter semester. We had the finals. And because I was a foreigner, they allowed me to be able to use... This one's good?
This one's good.
I have to try this one. Oh, man, just like the smell.
Yeah. Akemi-san, you picked out some really great nihonshu.
Akemi, please send us some more. I'll pay you. This is wonderful.
This is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, so for the final exams, because I was a foreigner, I was allowed to use a paper dictionary.
Yeah.
But I only had one of those electronic dictionaries, you know, that they used to have.
Yeah.
So I had to borrow a paper dictionary from one of my friends, Konomi, who went to school with me. And we went to the same church too. And after the finals were over, I texted Konomi. I was like, hey, Konomi, I need to give you your dictionary back. Where are you? She's like, oh, I'm in Gogokan. I'm on the 3rd floor of this room. Come here. I was like, cool. So I went to go and give her back the dictionary, and she was there with Natsumi, and Konomi was kind of in the front of the classroom. Natsumi was kind of in the back of the classroom, and when Natsumi turned around, I just went, woo, she's cute. She's nice.
And you just instantly forget about your friend. You're like, get out of here. I don't care about you anymore.
I gave the dictionary, and then I had to play it cool, you know? I had to play it cool because that's what you do. You don't say, I love you, please marry me right away. So, but yeah, so we ended up talking a little bit, and she was like, oh yeah, you know, I just got back from a month in Montana. I can't speak English very well still. I said, cool, you know, I'm doing a weekly English conversation group, Eikai Wasakure, in Shibuya on Wednesdays. You want to come? She's like, yeah, sure. Let me contact you. I was like, yeah, sure. So we exchanged Facebook messages, and I gave her the instructions to join my Eikai Wasakure. Yeah. And then I just relentlessly attacked her. So like, hey, let's go get some dinner. Let's go hang out. And she's like, I have a boyfriend. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. It's just dinner. Let's just hang out. And so I just like, when I have a goal, man, I just go for it, you know? And started liking each other, and things just kind of took off from there. And one thing that I remember I really liked about her was she wasn't, I'm gonna get so much flack for this, but she wasn't like the other like Japanese girls that I had met.
Arthur.
No. Let me explain why. Because so up until that point,
your wife is unique, and that's why you wanted to marry her.
Yes, right.
What?
No, so
biggest news story, everyone.
No. Come on, man. Stop busting my balls. No, so because the thing is like up until that point, I had met so many like gaijin hunters where they're like, I like your nose. It's so tall. Oh, your skin is so white. Oh, your hair is so soft.
God, man, that makes me nauseous.
Yeah. And then they're just like, oh yeah, I love dating Americans. I'm like, oh, that's the biggest turnoff ever, you know?
Yeah, it's like just an instant red flag.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine? Sorry to interrupt your story, but can you imagine, like back in the U.S.? Well, I mean, this does exist.
It does exist. It's like
dudes just going up and just like, you know what? I love your Asian face.
Yeah,
I'm really attracted to that.
Yeah,
and that's why I want to date you.
I only date Japanese girls. Please date me.
Yeah, you know, I just really like.
Yeah. And it happens a lot here, you know?
Oh my God.
Like, I thought there was this girl that liked me, and she's like, your nose is so tall. I'm so happy I'm with an American guy. And I'm like, oh, okay, that just killed it for me. But so that was one thing. But then also, you know, going to Aogaku and just in general, you know, I noticed a lot of like younger girls, they wore like really like frilly clothes, like really girly clothes, like, you know, almost like doll clothes, you know? And that's something that really kind of was off-putting for me when I first got here, because, you know, in America, traditionally people have been trying to get away from those gender norms of like these are girls' clothes, you know?
Yeah, I do tend to agree there. I'm like, I personally like I also find it unattractive when you know, I see a girl wearing like really short shorts or something like that. It's like, personally, I don't know, that's just not what I'm into. But I feel the exact same way when you see these like really frilly like doll clothes, and it's just like,
yeah, you look so cute, like you're made up for someone, you know. But I mean, it's just probably because, you know, in America.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, just because like in America, like people try to get away from that helpless woman doll stereotype. You know, like you want stronger women. Like I thought I wanted stronger women too.
Yeah, for me, it feels like a child.
Yeah,
it's like, oh God, like, you know, I don't want to date a child.
Yeah, I'm not a pedophile.
Yeah,
you know?
But like even a childish person, I don't. Yeah. Gross.
No, I get that. but yeah, so one other thing that really, like, as I got to know her, that I really respected about her was her drive, you know. So she comes from not like the boonies, but not from like a major city. She's from Niigata, right?
Yeah.
And
dude, I know all about the boonies.
Oh yeah, well dude, you live in the boonies, right? Yeah. But like for her though, like her parents' expectations were like everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna go to college, just go to a Tandai, just go to a 2-year college, get married young and have some kids. You know, you don't need to get a good job because you're gonna get married. Yeah. And she was like, nah, I want to follow my own life. And so she worked really hard to move from the Tandai to the 4-year Aoyama Gakuen University where I met her. And I was just like, man, this drive is really attractive in this woman. And actually, up until that point, I got to tell you, because there were a lot of Japanese exchange students who came to Seattle. Yeah. And so my experience there, my experience with people before I met Natsumi, I just came up in my mind. I was just thinking, I like Japan. Japanese girls are not for me. I just can't do it. I just don't want to do it. And then I meet her and she's like, oh, she's nice. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's kind of what sealed the deal for me.
And then you ruined her aspirations of being a career woman and got married and had kids.
Well, no. But then here's the thing that was really interesting for me is like after we got married, she was still working her job before, but she ended up quitting that and she ended up taking a much more domestic role in the house. And that's kind of like naturally how things went. Yeah. You know, and I feel like, I mean, I know a lot of career women in Japan who, even though they get married, they still stay with their thing. But it was funny because I was expecting things to be more of like a partnership. We'd both be working. We ended up actually having like the super, super traditional life, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think something that makes marriages really different from the US is housewife, like being a housewife is not viewed as a negative thing here.
Yeah, right.
There are 100% absolutely women who detest that, and they think that Japanese housewives here, you know, are way old fashioned. And they, you know, whatever. So like there are people who think that way, but I think generally speaking, there's a lot of women here who still look at being a housewife and go, there's nothing wrong with this. Like, I want to do this.
Yeah, right.
You know, I want to raise kids. In fact, like, you know, I'm not at a girls' school anymore, but when I was at my girls' school, the seniors, whenever we asked what they want in the future, the majority of the seniors at my school would say, I want to have children. Yeah. As soon as I can.
And that's like unthinkable in the United States.
You would never see that in a high school.
Yeah, if you said I want to be a housewife, everyone else would be like, oh, really? Yeah. You're going to settle for that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's like a different, or like a very different like way of thinking over here.
But what's funny though is now, because I used to think that way too. Like I wasn't attracted to women who just want to be housewives. But now on the other side of that, having kids, I realize being a housewife and being the primary caretaker of the children is the most important job in society. Yeah. And like, that's a really honorable thing. Yeah. You know, and I kind of wish more women in the United States pursued that.
You know, I had the luxury of kind of seeing some really powerful women in my life. Yeah. All throughout like the periods of my life, like My mom's a really hard worker,
Mm-hmm.
and she busted her ass.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, but she worked a lot too. My mom
Mm-hmm.
would often work like 60 hours a week. So there was definitely a lot of time that I just didn't really see her as a kid. And but she still did, like, she still made time to like do a lot of stuff around the house. And then I think I really noticed like what it's really like to be like a housewife, like when my sister Chelsea got married. And she kind of adopted that role, and man, it's an exhausting job.
Yeah.
Like,
you're always on.
Yeah, like Chelsea is working all the time, and especially now they're on a farm and stuff. It's like she's got so much to do. So it's like anybody who looks at like that kind of job is like, raising kids and like taking care of a home life. It's like, dude, that's I would respect anyone doing that way more than having like a 6-figure job.
Yeah, it's something really, if you want to do a good job with it, right?
Yeah.
It's something you need to study.
Yeah.
You need to train for.
Yeah.
To be
good. You need, especially like the most important thing is you need to have the discipline.
Yeah.
Like you need to have the discipline to like run everything at the house and stick to a schedule.
Yeah.
Because like the schedule is like really important for that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, right.
And it's like one of the things that makes marriage, like as a foreigner coming here, and there's a big stigma of like white guys coming here and marrying Asian women.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I think a reason is a lot of guys are really attracted to that kind of like traditional outlook. Like you like, and this is not really unique to Japan, but we live in Japan, so I'll talk about it. But it's just like, I remember dating when I was in the US, and every single girl that I dated in the US, when I talked to them about a family in the future, no, I don't want kids.
Yeah, right.
Every single one of them. And like, look, I'm sure there's women in the US that are like that. I'm just saying from my experience.
And women in Japan like that, you mean?
No. I'm saying when I was dating in America.
Okay.
I'm sure there's women in the US that would say they want kids, but from my experience, I didn't encounter any. And I think there's a lot of like mainstream media that kind of pushes that. It's like, no, you don't start a family. You need to be your own person all the time. And it's just like, that's not good.
Yeah.
Right.
So we kind of lucked out.
Yeah. It's not about taking away your independence and like making you a slave in the kitchen or anything. It's not about that. But it's about building something. It's about building a family.
Yeah. Right.
That's what it's all about. That's a mom and a dad need to come together to build a family.
Yeah.
Like
right.
you can't be a happy person without a family. Like it's impossible.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like that idea is just not being pushed in the US. But like, when you come here, and especially as a guy, a lot of women are looking for that.
Yeah.
And so it makes marrying a Japanese woman very attractive. And that's why you typically see a lot of not even white guys, but foreign men come here and marry Japanese women.
Yeah, right. So speaking of, like you said, I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said it's not necessarily about cooking and cleaning and serving a man. It's about building a family together.
Yeah.
But I feel like culturally that has the image of what that looks like is different.
Yeah.
And so when you got married, were there any sort of like culture shocks or surprises that you had?
With Yui, no.
Yeah.
Everything went, like, our marriage has gone, at least according to me. I don't know how Yui feels, but I feels like everything's gone really smoothly.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case with like other women I've dated. So I definitely think Yui's not the norm.
Yeah.
I've dated a few Japanese women here, and we get in fights on everything.
Oh, really?
One thing that drives me insane.
Yeah.
I'm used to it now, but when I first moved here, is as an American, I did laundry once a week.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty standard with Americans.
Once a
like
week.
You build up the laundry pile, you have laundry day, and you do all your laundry on that day. But that's not the case in Japan. You do laundry every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like for me, it used to just really irritate me because it's like, that's such a waste of water. What do you mean? You're loading up just like a pair of pants?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Why? Just wait, you know? And so that drove me insane. And that kind of thing. And then this is more just me being a slob.
Okay.
So I don't know if this is unique to Japan, but I've gotten a little bit better. But I used to let dishes pile up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I would leave them for a long time, but you know, like a day or two. Like, yeah, I would do that. I would let them pile up. But I think a lot of like, especially if you're like, you know, having a woman come over and visit your apartment, or you know, if you guys are living together, a lot of women here wash their plates like instantly. It's like, done. All right, we finished the meal. I'm gonna wash everything and now it's clean. And so like there was a lot of conflict in like how chores were to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was the opposite. I was the one who was always cleaning the dishes. And actually now my role basically is like before bed.
Yeah.
So Natsumi, she cooks the food, she does the dishes. You know, she cooks the food, she does the laundry, and I clean up the house and I do the dishes before I sleep, you know. But one thing that was difficult for me, and even now sometimes it's still difficult, is communication. And what I mean by that is not it's not a language barrier thing. It's more like a communication thing for me, where like I'll ask her a question and I can't get a straight answer. Like, and I've noticed this too, like in Japan, you know, when you ask people how are you,
polish these off.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's also it's really good. First of all,
really good.
Yeah. But like, so even in Japan, when you ask someone, how are you?
Yeah.
So, oh, yeah, I went to work today.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but how are you? And it's like, oh yeah, you know, I just do work as always.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but how are you? Like, people don't answer directly. It's like, hey, I did this, like, Ukiyo-e, you know, sashite, you know, pick it up, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Natsumi. Like, when I'm like, Natsumi, should we do this or should we do this? She's like, well, you know, this is the background and this is kind of thing. And she'll spend like 3 minutes explaining something to me.
Up. You still got a little bit in there.
Yeah. She'll explain something to me for like 2-3 minutes. I'm just like, I just wanted to know which one you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, like she won't tell me directly, and I have to figure out. But you know, my brain doesn't work that way, or I don't want it to work that way. So that's consistently been like an area of friction in our communication. You know.
So I think if someone were to come up to me and ask me, Austin, I see a lot of unsuccessful relationships between a foreign man and a Japanese woman. Why do you think that's the case? I would boil it down to probably one or two things, but I think the main thing that I would boil it down to is as a Western man growing up, especially as a kid, you usually get taught this from your mom, or if you have a big sister or something, right? Men and women are equal, and you need to treat each other as equals.
Yeah.
Right? And so you get that hammered into you.
Well, you should maybe not treat them, men and women are equal, so you need to treat them the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
But you get that hammered into you all throughout childhood.
Yeah.
Right? But what doesn't get brought to your, or what doesn't get taught to you is being treated the same and being equals in a relationship doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it often leads to a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't necessarily mean the man needs to be in charge, but somebody needs to be making the decisions in a relationship.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nothing gets done, or you guys are constantly butting heads on things.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't necessarily need to be like one person is the decision maker all the time.
Yeah.
It can be like depending on a specific area.
Yeah, but like there needs to be somebody who can make that decision.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there's a lot of men, including myself when I came here, that when they move to Japan and when you start dating a girl, you really don't realize this right away. Like, because, you know, dating is so casual here when it starts off.
Yeah.
But like as the relationship starts getting more serious, a lot of men will always ask a girl here, like, oh, what do you think? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And for us, that feels okay, right?
Yeah.
That's what you would do in a relationship in the US. But I think there's a lot of women here who don't want that.
Yeah.
They want you to understand what they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want you to go, you should know what I want, and I want you to make that decision. I don't want to tell you what I want.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of guys really struggle with that.
I'm one of those guys.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so it's so like against how we're programmed as men in the US. Because in the US, it's like, okay, well, we're doing everything together.
Yeah, right.
I don't make a decision. You don't make a decision.
We make a decision.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. But it's not that way here.
Yeah. Yeah. That was another big thing for me too. That was really difficult. Is like if I wanted, like, I've realized, after being married for several years, that I need to make the decision. Like the way that it is now is like I will make the decision, and my wife will decide if it was the right decision or not.
But yeah, I really struggled with that. And Yui's really a lot like that.
Yeah.
Yui wants me. She's really pretty chill with whatever decision, but she wants me to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And when our relationship first started, I really struggled a lot with that because I would always ask her, "What do you want to do?"
Yeah.
And she would say, "Oh, anything's fine."
Yeah, but that's not true. But
yeah. And like for me, it's like we just constantly hit these roadblocks, and I'm just like, dude, make a decision.
Yeah.
Come on, help me out here.
Yeah.
But it's like now I've kind of settled into that. It's like, oh, okay, so she wants me to make the right decision.
Yeah.
Like I get it now.
Yeah.
And I've grown more confident in that role. But I think there's just so many, like especially foreign men. I don't know on behalf of Japanese men, but there's so many foreign men. I think that they just don't know how to be the decision maker in a relationship.
Yeah. Or they don't want to be,
or they
that
won't
has the
want to be.
responsibility.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I also feel like, in the States, because everything is now, everyone is equal. Therefore, you should treat everyone the same. Therefore, everyone should have the same role and same power, and you should split things evenly. That mindset has really like weakened me as a man to like be like, oh, I could make a decision, but I'm supposed to like deliberate this with the other person. Like I should give this up. And it's actually made it more difficult for me to be a decision maker, and, actually being married has kind of brought me out of that, So I would say like, especially for the men, if you want to get married, you have to be a strong man. You have to be able to make those decisions and take those responsibilities. And
I mean, that's just kind of the foundations of being a man.
Yeah.
Like
we're going to get killed by the feminists today, man.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
I don't think anything we're saying is really controversial. I think if you really sat down and like I said, it doesn't need to be the man. Like if you're with a person who expects you to be making the decisions, you need to be able to step up to the plate. I think that's where a lot of, especially foreigners, fail. Yeah. Because in Japanese relationships, there is a very, very clear person who runs the relationship. And it's not always the man.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of marriages here where mom runs everything.
Yeah.
It's very common.
Well, also, like traditionally, the okozukai is controlled by the wife, and she gives okozukai to the man.
Right? Exactly. So it's not even really, like I said, it's not unique to men. But in Japan, the relationships are very defined. Of like this person's the decider, this person's the support.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're a foreigner looking to get married over here, like you need to be prepared to be able to do one of those roles. You either need to be the decider or you need to be okay with the other person making all the decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of guys who come over here, they come here because they're escaping something in their home country. Like they don't really fit in. And so they're coming here out of like weakness, for lack of a better word, And so they bring that with them here. Yeah. And they get into a relationship with someone and they can't make decisions. They can't be okay with setting roles and stuff like that, And that's why I think a lot of marriages with foreigners don't turn out as you expect.
Well, it's like you get this stereotype that you hear on a lot of like gaikokujin websites of like, oh wow, yeah, Japanese girls, I don't know, you should be careful with them because like they're all cute and fun while you're in a relationship, then you get married and they turn into demons.
It's more like you were just a fun boyfriend, but when you became
like,
a husband,
you
became
suck.
useless. Yeah.
Like, it's not so much they changed, it's like they expected things from you and you just suck.
And it's like most of the guys, like they complain about their wives. It's like they can't hold down a job. They don't have a stable income. They don't have much drive in their life. And they're just kind of like, they're passive, you know?
Yeah.
So
anyways, on that happy note,
we are very happy we married our wives.
Yeah.
Getting married was the best thing that happened to me.
Oh, easily. Yeah. I've grown so much in just the past year that I've been married.
I've seen you.
Yeah.
I've seen you grow. It's been awesome.
You say, are you talking about how fat I've gotten?
No, well, you've grown this way, but you've also grown in your heart too.
Yeah.
You've also grown in your heart too.
Yeah.
But Austin, do you have any topic you want to talk about next time?
Man, you're putting me on the spot here.
Putting you on the spot because we couldn't figure it out. We can also leave it as TBD, and
we'll leave it as TBD and
to be decided.
Polish off this bottle and figure out what we want to do.
Sounds good. All right, see you next time, man.
See ya.